Hello everyone, Alpha Cameraman welcomes you. In this video, we're going to talk about where the Skibidi Toilets and Cameramen came from in the first place. Where did the people in the show disappear to? Why are the Skibidi Toilets at war with the Cameraman but never attack the humans? What agents are watching everything that happens from the beginning to the last episodes? Watch the video to the end. Let's go! I'll try to show you the facts from the beginning, and we'll try to unravel this mystery together. From the very first episode, the Cameraman have been watching Skibidi. They just stood by. In episode 3, the Cameraman stand in the middle of the people and watch the huge Skibidi Toilets. Some people run away while some people watch with interest. This is the first time we see a Skibidi Toilet attacking a POV Cameraman. That said, they have never attacked people. Episode 4 is the most important episode, where we see people turn into Skibidi Toilets. All they need to do this is a toilet, and a singing Skibidi nearby. Also, the Skibidi don't know how to communicate other than singing their song. The Cameraman is also nearby. The flying Skibidi Toilet is watching from afar. Note the shape of the toilets. The sister is too narrow and most Skibidi have a wider sister. Also, we haven't seen any more Skibidi women except for episode 6. Apparently that experiment failed. Next, we see that there is a Skibidi police and even SWAT. That is, the toilets behave generally like humans. Most likely they were all human in the past. In episode 5, we see the humans use tanks and military against the Skibidi. But it didn't work. In general, in the first episodes, the show didn't make much sense. The episodes were made more for fun. That's why we don't see flying toilets anymore. Further, it's either helicopters or airplanes. It's the same with the Cameraman flying machines. The very first flush happened in episode 7, which started the war. In episode 8, we see the Cameraman and Skibidi Toilet armies fighting each other. At the same time, there are still people in cars around. Next, we see people on the streets again. The Skibidi worshipped the very first toilet. That means they didn't exist before him. But the Cameraman were already there. I have two assumptions. The first is that the Skibidi Toilets are someone else's invention. They infect people like a virus, and eventually all people become toilets. The Cameraman only came to save the Earth from the virus, but they were near the first toilet, which means they knew everything that was going on. When people were being turned into toilets in episode 7, the Cameraman didn't try to stop them. They didn't destroy Skibidi in episode 3, so the Cameraman created them themselves. The Skibidi Toilets are an experiment, a secret virus that infects all of humanity. At first, the experiment went as planned and the Cameraman just watched, but then the Skibidi began to resist and attack their observers. The Cameraman then decided to flush them out, but it was too late. G-Man Toilet showed up. I don't really know where he came from. Maybe he turned into a toilet. In episode 4, then further, we saw only his clones. Maybe G-Man Toilet has nothing to do with G-Man. It was probably created by the Cameraman themselves, but something got out of control. Then all the Cameraman were ordered to destroy the toilets, but it was too late. G-Man began to defend his brothers. I think G-Man was created as the main toilet who can track the others and give them commands like a collective brain. In episode 21, we see one of the toilets give a signal and G-Man found him. Meanwhile, the Cameraman were asking something about the G-toilet, which means they don't know everything. Maybe they were finding out where he is, or maybe why he's so huge and where he got his laser eyes from. What about this Cameraman over here? You might recognize him by his costume. No, it's not the same agent from episode 57 because he has a black camera, but we saw him in episode 2. In episode 43, he sits with Plungerman, and the scientist I think this means that the secret Cameraman is important in this show. Were the Cameraman even human? I think not. The skin was probably synthetic so as not to raise much suspicion in normal humans. When all humans were turned into toilets, creating material like skin was no longer necessary. So the Cameraman are robotic observers who are supposed to record information about the experiment and transmit it somewhere. I think someone's controlling them, their creator. Come to think of it, maybe it's Dafuk. He's the only person left in the show who isn't affected by the Skibidi song. I think he was the creator of the experiment. The Cameraman robots were created in the likeness of humans. That being said, the speakermen and TV men are most likely robots too, and therefore also created by Dafuk. Most likely, the Cameraman were created as observer robots. Their task is not to arouse much suspicion from people and behave naturally like all humans. That's why they are given feelings and emotions. The TV men, on the other hand, are created later in the middle of the war. Their task is to be emotionless soldiers who clearly obey orders. That's why TV Woman doesn't respond to Simp Cameraman's love affair. But where did all the weird inventions like Skibidi spiders or Skibidi saws come from? In episode 14, we get our first look at the unusual Skibidi toilet, which destroys everything in his way. Right after that, the cameraman begin to realize that things are not going according to plan at all. I guess they didn't expect such monsters to exist. The cameraman invent the spy and he goes to the hangar of the Skibidi Toilets. There we get our first glimpse of the scientist and his experiments. He is the one who invented this reactive metal toilet. All the Skibidi Toilets could do was attach 3 toilets to each other and make a huge triple toilet. The scientist begins to improve the regular toilets and make spiders and helicopters out of them. Then Dayfook realizes that he needs to control the Skibidi Toilets and destroy them all. He creates a huge Cameraman Titan. By the way, I think that G-Man Toilet was created by the cameraman. Or rather, he was infected with a virus like the others, and the cameraman made him huge. But the laser eyes were created by a scientist. Just like the flying toilet from episode 5 didn't have laser eyes at first, but then Skibidi the scientist created them. Why did the speakermen come to the rescue? They're also robots, but made to prevent the virus from spreading. As we remember, to infect a person, they need to hear us a Skibidi song. Then the speakermen would have to walk among uninfected people and play a different song loudly. Then that would have prevented the virus from spreading. The loud sound would also prevent the Skibidi Toilets from communicating with each other. Then the Skibidi Toilets invented parasites. It's a weapon against the speakermen because now their speakers would also play a Skibidi song, which means they could infect other people. Yes, we haven't seen people around for a long time in these episodes, but I think the Skibidi are designed so that they want to spread the virus to others. Also, the cameraman and speakermen are not affected by the virus because they are completely robotic. Also, the Skibidi scientists made a great toilet, a mechanical arm, and some kind of scanner for himself. Who are the TV men? They are created as soldiers who must stop and destroy Skibidi completely. TV men is chosen for a reason. Skibidi Toilets were humans before, which means almost all of them watch TV. They will stare into the screen out of habit, and the robotic TV men will hypnotize them. As long as the Skibidi are hypnotized, they are easily flushed out. By the way, the big cameramen were also there from the beginning. They are probably soldiers too. They look more powerful and can destroy any normal Skibidi toilet. Apparently at the beginning of the experiment, it was assumed that something could go wrong. Dafu had counted on the large cameraman to destroy the threat, but their power wasn't enough. G-Toilet showed up and things didn't go according to plan. Now I think G-Toilet is no longer in charge, and Skibidi the scientist wants to take over as leader. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the video.